Hi, it's been a while since I've been on. Been kind of busy with stuff, but anyway, I'm back again. So I was just out cleaning the Jeep the other day, and she's looking not too bad. Probably could do another polish up, but I was asked a couple of times about the Jeep. Is it worth having a Jeep? And a few mates asked me, is it worth getting one? And for me, yeah. Just me and the wife. We don't need anything fancy. But the thing is, when you're buying a Jeep, certainly a Wrangler like this, remember it's not an SUV. It's not a kid carrier, taking kids to school and luxurious journeys. It's a Jeep. I remember when we first bought this, my wife had said she fancied the Jeep, and there was so many different types on the road, the Patriots and things, and I says to her, if you want a Jeep, you want a proper Jeep, a Wrangler, which is based on the old Willys Jeep, the military thing. I says, that's a Jeep, the rest of them are like SUVs. And she wanted one because we do a bit of gold panning and we go through state forests, and it's a perfect vehicle for it. So we bought one, so we bought this one. So we got this in 2014. Not done much to it. I've put LED lights on it, indicators, LED side indicators, LED spotlights or fog lights. I've also got LED lights on the back. Put a build bar on it. That's been a godsend at times with the winch. I've had to pull like some trees out the garden. The winch has been great for that. I remember there was a guy stuck in a ford with his Mercedes sports car. It went through a ford and it was too deep, and his car took water into the intake. So I stopped, I saw him, I stopped, and I got out and I waded in and hooked the winch on, pulled him out. So he was grateful for that, but he wasn't very happy that was his car naffed. A funny old day out here. Sun's shining, but it's still cold, but it is winter, I suppose. So yeah, so it's been a great car. So yeah, I bought this in 2014, and if I'd have known what a Jeep was like, would I have bought this? Yeah, probably. I mean, if you look at the size of it, it's rugged, it looks tough, especially with the build bar on the front. It's got a nice set of alloy wheels. It's a 4-door. There's plenty of room, like in the back seat there, for passengers. Although the back seat isn't the comfortablest seat, most of the time my back seat's down because I use it for buying stuff from the store, like bricks and cement and wood and battens and things, and so it's a bit of a workhorse for us. I mean, it's hardly ever used now. My wife used to use it for her work, but she doesn't now because she's got company car. So this has been sitting for years now. The back opens up. There's a fair bit of room here, but once you push your seats forward, there's a good bit of room. I've got fancy number plates. I'll get to this later. I'm putting a tow bar on it, and you have to take the number plate off, so you need to relocate it. So I've got that sussed out. But anyway, plenty of room. Roll cage is all fitted inside it. You get a soft top with it. Minions not included. It's quite handy because when you're carrying wood, if you've got the seats folded forward, you can leave the back window open, and you can get like 2.5 meters length inside the wood, and just put a cloth on the back. You can have the wood sticking out here, or take the back wheel off, so you can carry along stuff. But I'm going to put a tow bar on because I'm going to have a wee bit change of pulse nowadays, and I'm going to get a trailer that I can put bikes on, motorbikes, and start maybe buying and fixing up bikes, and just as a hobby, something to do. So yeah, the passenger side. My gloves, because it's a diesel, you're better with a set of gloves on. Look at the lovely seats, very comfortable, you know, a nice dash. It's a bit rough looking because it is a workhorse. And the engine, what does the engine look like? Let's have a look. Ooh. So here's the engine. I'll just put the bonnet catch up. Here's the engine. So it's a 2.8 CRD, which as you'll know is a diesel. It's a lovely wee engine. 2.8, it's quick, it's really fast. The only difference with this diesel with most is at the front, and here it has a timing belt as opposed to a timing chain. So the car's done just over 100,000 kilometres, so I've changed the timing belt. It was really easy. The only thing I had to do was cut a wee bit off of here to get this fan out so as I could get the front of the engine. Apart from that, it's pretty easy to do. I was supposed to put a cover back over it. I will do eventually. So the timing belt's easy to do. Everything else, you know, coolant, oil, your oil filter's in here, so you just take that off, change your oil filter. Sump plugs below. Up here, put a catch can on. It's worth putting one because the pipe used to go, this is a breather from the engine which breathes out all sorts of shit. It would go into the intake here. So what I've done is I've diverted it into a catch can and then into here, so all the oil and crap that comes out the engine is caught in the bottom of here and down that pipe, and I can drain it out so it's breathing in, you know, decent fumes instead of oil, and it's not choking up the whole inlet and manifold system. But we can go more into that in a later date. But yeah, it's a good wee machine, and she's quite quiet for being a diesel as well. Just closing the bonnet down. So, have I ever had a problem with this car? In all honesty, never had a problem with it. You know, it's done over 100,000 Ks and it's been reliable every time. There's only once it didn't start, and that was the battery, because it had been sitting for a while one winter and I hadn't charged the battery up. So I charged it up and it worked fine, but the battery just wasn't the same. There was something wrong with it, so yeah, I just put a new battery in it. It was much easier to do that. Anyway, we'll take it for a wee spin. So the inside of the Jeep, the inside's quite nice. Put the key in, it's automatic. Plenty of fancy lights come on when you put the ignition on. It's a bit dark in here because I'm in the carport. So yeah, I've done 101,411. Jeez, I couldn't read that. And yeah, you'll see it get a better look once we get out into the daylight. So, I don't know if that camera's in a good position. I've not got a proper mount, but so as you can see, she's a quiet car for a diesel, and she drives quite nice. And she's got a lot to go, you know. I mean, you know what people say about diesels, they're not very quick, but this thing, being automatic, it feels a bit strange. I must admit, I do like a manual, but yeah, for all the run about of doing this, it doesn't really matter. But she's a good machine. Nice and easy to drive. She's very economical. I put in, well, I fill it up with diesel, and when I fill it up with diesel, it's I think it's about 80 litres, and I'll get anywhere between 600 and 700 kilometres for my I think it's about 80 litres anyway. It really depends. If I'm doing longer distance, like driving to Sydney or something like that, or Adelaide, you know, where I'm doing 1,000 kilometres, I can just about do that in a full tank. So it's not too bad. So the only thing wrong with this is it doesn't have the sat-nav reverse screen and everything built in, because it is a 2014 model, but I've got my own Garmin up there. Well, I bought that one for my wife for her car, for using in the company car, but she doesn't need it. So I thought I'll put it in the Jeep, but it's kind of on the big side. But that's okay, don't mind. It looks alright. At least you can read the street names because it's so big. Although it does blank out a bit of your vision from the windscreen, but yeah, that's alright. I know where I'm going. So yeah, it's been a good car. Like I say, I've only done the timing belt, I've only had to service it. I've changed the battery once. There's nothing ever goes wrong with it. I've seen a lot of people on the Jeep forums on about you know, wear and tear with valves and front end bearings and things like that, but you know, when I see these things happen, usually something wears because it's not being lubricated enough, unless there's a fault. Of course, if there's a fault, then that's just one of these things. But if something's not being lubricated enough, it means metal's rubbing to metal, and it's going to wear, and it's going to cause a problem. And I think the biggest fault with that is oil changes. I can't remember offhand what the recommended oil change. I think the Jeep manual says this is like every 20,000 kilometres. But I would never ever let a vehicle go to 20,000 kilometres without an oil change. I do this every year. The most I would let it go is 10,000 kilometres, but I've never let it go that far because I don't do that many kilometres in a year. But 10,000 is the maximum I would go, because oil dissipates, you know, it loses its viscosity, and after a while it's not lubricating as well as it should. So yeah, I always change it at least every 10,000 kilometres, more if you want, and that way you're guaranteed that your engine's going to be lubricated and the oil's going to be doing its job, and you're not going to be having problems with worn valves and, or you know, the tappets anyway, or shims or whatever, and you're not going to have problems with bearings wearing out because they're going to be well lubricated. But yeah, a lot of one of the biggest ways to neglect your vehicle is just not to change your oil as often as you should. You know, change it regularly. It's like motorcycle riders, all us guys that ride motorbikes. We'll change oil in our motorbikes every 5,000 kilometres. You know, whether we think it needs it or not, we'll do it. So do the same with your car, and that's what I've done with this Jeep Wrangler, and she runs perfectly, not a problem with it. So, back into the house again. So that's us back again. So yeah, I was saying earlier, I'm going to put a tow bar on it so as I can use a trailer. But the problem is the tow bar mounts up under here and this number plate's in the way. So I'm going to have to cut all this off. And I've got another number plate mount that goes on here, and I've had to get smaller number plates as well, American style, but that's fine. So that's a wee job I'm going to be doing very soon in the future. It's awfully dull out here, coming to the light a bit. So yeah, so that's the Jeep Wrangler. So if somebody asked me if they would buy one, yeah, for what I use it for, it's perfect. Like I say, if you wanted something comfort and everything, it is comfortable at the front, but not in the back seat. But it's not an SUV, it's a Jeep, it's a four-wheel drive, it's an off-road machine. Like I say, I go through state forests, up and down hills, through rivers. I go everywhere with it, and it's perfect. So, yeah, it's It's well worth buying if you're into Jeeps. But if you want something with comfort and your stereo and all that sort of nonsense, yeah, go for your Nissan or your Mitsubishi or your Toyotas or whatever. But to be quite honest with you, for me, choosing a vehicle, yeah, motorbikes every time. I've still got the old KTM and I've still got the old Goldwing, and I'll have more work coming up on them shortly. Anyway, that's it for today, just a quick one, and catch you all soon. Bye.